All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, May 8th. We got 16 MLB games to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when we go through each and every one of these games, I'll give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself, if you do want to fade me, all of those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. Yesterday, we had 8 plays, and it was a battle. We ended up going 4 and 4. Luckily, one of the losses was a quarter unit loss, and we hit a half unit plus money with the Mets, who came back and won. But what an absolute battle. Just like I say, we kind of got lucky with the Mets win. We did get kind of screwed with the Brewers' first 5. We had them a half unit split, so a quarter unit on them money line and a quarter unit on them plus 0.5. They were up going into the bottom of the 5th, and poof, there goes that lead. But nonetheless, a 4-4 night is not going to kill us. We've been on an MLB heater. I guess this technically ends it. But like I said, it's not like a reverse sweep or anything that I'm going to cry over here. What we can cry over is a true OG of the channel, Gorilla, a.k.a. Debo here, a.k.a. Trap Music. Shohei Ohtani's ride of the day for an RBI does not come through. I think he walked twice, scored a run, but unfortunately, we do not cash the ride of the day from a man here. Again, a true OG of the channel, and if you've been following along, for years and years, you've seen Gorilla Trap Music absolutely cash the hell out for us in ride of the days. So, you know what? This is one loss, not a big deal. But if you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, or if you do, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick, and then you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss, just like Debo here. If you win, we continue to ride with your pick. I'm also shouting you out over on my Twitter. Make sure you guys are following me there, posting additional content, a lot of player prop stuff over there as well as my Instagram, MLB Picks with a Z. Make sure to go follow me there. You see stuff there that you don't necessarily see on YouTube all of the time. But guys, like I said, a big slate. We do have a doubleheader we'll dive into at some point in this video. A few games kind of in the middle there. It's Texas taking on Oakland. But yeah, let's get rocking and rolling. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Game number 1, we have Pittsburgh taking on the Angels. Right now, Pittsburgh on the money line, favored -135. Total sitting at 8. I've seen some 8.5s out there. Yesterday's game ends in a 9-0 win for the Angels. Game number 1 was a 4-1 win for Pittsburgh. On the mound for Pittsburgh today is going to be Martin Perez going up against Jose Soriano. The one thing I'll say about this matchup is that Perez historically against this Los Angeles Angels roster has 69 plate appearances, a .311 batting average against, only an 11.6% K rate, a .355 WOBA. So even though he's had some good start this season, I don't necessarily look at this and say this is going to be a place where he can excel. He's been kind of rocky as of late, so I do think that this could be a spot in which we take a plus money play on the Angels. I don't know if I trust them full game. That bullpen has the second worst ERA in baseball right now. The whip is kind of middle of the pack. So this is either an Angels money line or an Angels first 5 money line play for me. Again, you're getting decent odds, plus 115 on the money line and similar odds when you go first 5. And it kind of comes down to the fact that you're looking at, again, pitching is... Let's just flash up the dashboard here. You can see Perez has some better numbers. I admit that. But when it gets to batting, like, I'm not saying the Angels are all that great against lefties, right? But Pittsburgh against righties in the last 30 days, god-awful, especially at home. So it's just not a spot in which I can confidently lay, nearly -140 juice with this home team, even if they do have the better pitcher and the slight better bullpen. Like, these offenses, this offense would scare me overall. So I am going to lean towards, like I said, LA. In terms of a total, I don't see either one of these teams putting up a huge number. We saw 9-0 yesterday. I don't think one team goes for 9 today. This is probably like a 4-2, 4-3 type game for me. So I do think that I lean towards the under as well. And by the way, guys, this dashboard that you're looking at right now, I feel like a broken record saying it, but what we've been doing is we want to make this, or, I have the selfish intent, I guess I could say, to make this a paid for thing because so much work goes into it, and I'd want to bring it to the channel members, right? But you guys have been crushing the likes, and I made a deal with you guys that if you continue to hit the like goals, we'll leave this live. Yesterday, I gave you a like goal that was crazy. We're going to go even bigger today. We hit, I think, over 800 likes on yesterday's MLB video. So let's go 500 likes to keep this thing alive and free for tomorrow's video. Again, Yes, people are like, oh, why do you even want to do it for money? It's like, I don't want to do it for money, but I like to make elevated things in the channel and provide them to the channel members. This is one of the most elevated things that we've created. So much work has gone into it, and we have so much more coming down the line. But if you guys keep crushing the likes, I'm talking 800 on yesterday's video, hell, I'll keep it free. So 500 likes on today's video, and it's free again tomorrow. You guys have been absolutely amazing in liking up these MLB videos and whatnot. So again, 500 likes is today's goal. Let's see if we can get there. That's a pretty lofty, risky goal there. I'll say that much. Next up, we have the Phillies taking on Toronto. Aaron Nola on the mound going up against Chris Bassett here. The Phillies just continue to cash for us. I think looking at the previous, I guess I looked at the previous 30 days, but overall, this Phillies team has been the most profitable. Phillies first five, I should say, has been the most profitable bet that we've been making this season, and I don't see any reason to stop it here. This is a spot in which Chris Bassett on the years a 5.45 ERA, a 1.7 whip, a 5.07 FIP, and I feel like I was Nostradamus in a sense or something, because remember early on in the year I was like, these Phillies bats are cold, but they have to heat up, like they just have to. Now last 30 days against righties, second best average, third best WRC plus, fourth best on base percentage, second in ISO, slugging, and OPS. So these Philly bats have certainly heated up, and you have a pitcher on the mound here in Bassett who looks like he's been getting kind of tagged around. So I look to the Phillies here, first five, either money line or first five run line. And we were getting a lot of questions, why do you go first five and all that? If I say first five, meaning the first 5 innings, it's also known as first half. It's because I don't trust the bullpen, and as much money as these Philly bats and this team has made us, they've had games. We've literally cashed games in which they won the first 5 and then blew the full game. So I'm sticking with what works. If it ain't broke, don't go ahead and fix it, right? So give me the Phillies here, somehow first 5. Keep an eye on the pinned comment, because I want to make sure we get the best odds available. So maybe we go first 5 run line. And I don't want to jinx it, but we're playing with house money at this point. This is a Phillies team that has made us so much damn change that we can continue to kind of ride with it. And what I like about them is they're playing really well at home, right? I know we're talking first 5, but they have a 71.4% win rate at home this season. In terms of a total 8.5, I can't help but look at the over. I know that I'm kind of gassing up, Aaron Nola, the Aaron Nola's pitching and whatnot, but I'd like these Philly bats a lot more. And you have a Toronto team that, yes, their numbers last 30 days, have gone a little cold. They may not, shout, crazy good number, performance, I would say. But there's still a lot of good guys in that lineup, so I do still lean towards the over because both these bullpens are tough. Toronto, 30th ranked ERA, 22nd ranked WHIP. Philly, 23rd ranked ERA, 24th ranked WHIP. So you could easily see a game that, hell, if it goes according to plan, Phillies are winning this one after 5, and then all of a sudden a bunch of runs come in late. So that's definitely going to be a spot that I am considering today, both the over as well as Philly somehow in the first 5. A player prop in this game, and it's tough because it kind of is counterintuitive to what I'm saying about Aaron Nola being able to deal and the Phillies being able to go out there and win this one. But I don't mind Aaron Nola's under 5.5 strikeouts. The one thing that we can even note here, if we go to the dashboard again, is that Toronto, last 30 days against righties on the road, second best K rate, 8th best in the last 30 days against righties overall. So could be a decent spot for them to make contact and not strike out all that much. But again, I don't know if we want to roll with too much or get pigeonholed into a narrative for this game. It might just be a Phillies first 5 type of play for us, and then we say, hey, you know what, we're good in this game. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. All right, this one was tough yesterday. We had the under, I think it was 8.5. At the end of 2, the score was 7-5. So we can own that one. That was absolutely tough. Literally wasn't even watching the game. I just checked my app, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, am I on today? I thought it was yesterday's game because it looked like a full game had happened with runs. But that was a bad call. Crystal ball was a little cloudy there. The Cleveland taking on Detroit. In today's matchup, we got Tanner Beebe going up against Reese Olson. I do think this is going to be a pitcher's duel again. Am I crazy? Probably, but I'm going to lean towards the under, running it right back. It's probably going to be another crazy, 7-5 after 1 inning type of a game. But I'm also going to look at Detroit on the money line. Neither one of these offenses is all that impressive to me. I do give Cleveland a little bit of an edge, but overall, I don't necessarily think that they're going to get to Reese Olson too easily. It's like the only pitch that he's going to throw that they hit well is his slider. So yeah, I'll take him. I think that they have a slight pitching edge here in terms of Detroit, and for plus 120 odds, like that's something that I don't necessarily hate looking at whatsoever. And honestly, most books, you're not even going to get that plus 120. You're getting plus 115, plus 110 over there. So shout out to FanDuel for the best odds. We'll talk about FanDuel in a little bit, but give me Detroit on the money line as well as the under in this spot. All right, St. Louis taking on the Mets. Finally, a game in which, you know, in this series, it makes sense to me. If you guys have been watching the last couple games here, I'm like, why are the Mets underdogs? Why are they underdogs? They've won the first 2 games as underdogs. We've cashed in both of those, which is great. But now we have Sonny Gray on the mound going up against Jose Quintana. Sonny Gray, obviously the better pitcher, and has the better stats so far this year as well. So there's no reason for me to believe that the Cardinals shouldn't be able to win this game. That being said, I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, minus 170 juice in this spot. So we probably don't play the Cardinals, but in a way that we can kind of back the Cardinals without taking that juice is potentially looking at a team total under for the Mets, or just looking at a full game under as well. So I've also considered, you know, raising that total to like 10.5 and taking the Cardinals on the money line as well. So, you know, kind of a parlay there. We'll figure out a way to do it if we do deem it worthwhile. But yeah, I'm backing Sonny Gray in this one. The Mets have the better bats for sure, but if Sonny Gray can counteract them at all, these St. Louis bats stink, right? So it's like, give me an under to some degree. Maybe it's a team total, but maybe it's also, like I mentioned, looking at somehow raising, because 7.5 is a low line. Like I don't want a you know, a 5 to, I would say a 4 to 3 game is sweating that thing out, you know. But if you don't have parlays somehow in your book or something, I would still say St. Louis money line, even with the juice, and also under 7.5, even though it is such a low line. If we can get an 8 out there, I don't see any in the market right now. I don't mind that, because like a 4-3 cashes either way, but it's a lot less sweaty when, you know, one more run could come in extras or something like that, and it's a push versus a loss. But either way, simple terms here, St. Louis money line, taking the under 7.5, but I want to figure out a way that we can kind of work in a little bit more Sonny Gray into this one without having to worry about St. Louis's offense to win or that type of thing, if that makes sense. All right, KC taking on Milwaukee. Like I said, this is one where I feel like we were so close to cashing yesterday. Heading into the bottom of the 5th, Milwaukee was up 2-0. We had them plus 0.5 and money line in the first 5 as underdogs, right? Kansas City 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th, but I guess that's just how baseball works sometimes. And honestly, that's why we can get screwed sometimes by these first 5 bets, because Milwaukee comes back, scores 3 runs in the 9th, and wins the game. So it is what it is. Today on the mound for KC is going to be Brady Singer, 2.45 ERA with a .97 WHIP on the season, going up against Joe Ross, 4.65 ERA with a 1.55 WHIP. I'd give an obvious pitching edge to Kansas City. I do like Milwaukee's bats against righties, but Kansas City's bats at home in the last 30 days have actually been pretty good. So I feel like they've been hot and cold just overall, right? You know, they'll score 2 runs. Next game, they'll score 5, 7. Next game, they'll score 4, like a little all over the place. But nonetheless, I still do think that they can get to Ross today. So I'm going to lean towards Kansas City. I was this close to taking a peek at Milwaukee, but I just don't think I can back Ross in this spot. Neither one of the bullpens is all that great either, so I could see some late runs coming in like we saw yesterday. In fact, we saw 5th inning on. We saw 9 runs between these two teams. So give me the over in this spot as well. Hopefully Kansas City can get to Ross early, and then these bullpens can kind of crumble a little bit here. Again, middle of the road at best is how I would classify either one of these bullpens. A player prop in this spot, and I'm not sure if we want to pull the trigger on it because I don't love the juice at minus 135. But Brady Singer's out is also enticing to me. Their bullpen is worn down here. Last 3 days, their closers pitched 60 pitches. Setup man, both of these guys are going a lot. So I could see them trying to stretch a little bit more out of him. And what's great is that he's going to throw, plenty of sliders here. This is a Milwaukee team that hits sliders well, but swings at a lot of sliders. So it could lead to some, whether it's outs in the field or strikeouts as well, because the one thing I'd get, nervous about a slider pitcher that doesn't have it today would be a guy that's walking a lot of batters, right? I don't know if he walks a lot of batters because, again, Milwaukee likes to hit the slider, so could be countering what I'm saying, almost like, oh, if they're hitting it well, then he's probably going to get yanked early. But I think they're going to give Singer a little bit of a leash today due to the fact that bullpen is what it is. And, he's hit the over in his outs at 17.5 in 2 of his last 3 starts and 4 of his 7 this season. So something worth considering, but out of, money line and total plays, it's probably falls last in the depth chart. All right, the Cubbies taking on the Padres here. You got Hayden Wesnecky on the mound for the Cubs going up against Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease got the job done last time we took him. In fact, who was that against? It was against Arizona. We took the Padres minus 0.5 in the first 5, money line in the first 5, and plus 0.5 in the first 5. So we split it 3 ways, and he did pitch really well. I do think that there's a pitching, discrepancy here. Even though Wesnecky does have some good starts on the year, I'm still going to trust my guy, that is Dylan Cease. Wesnecky, you never really know if he's going to go deep into games, and this is a Padres team that is 4-1 in the last 5 starts for Cease. He's got an ERA of 1.6 in his last 5. And honestly, his season ERA isn't all that bad either, 2.55. So I'm not afraid of that either. I think that this is a good spot for him to go out there. He's got a 0.8 whip on the year as well. So yeah, give me the Padres in this spot. You can get them at minus 120 right now, which I think is good value for what you are getting. There's some missing bats, like I keep saying, in this Cubs lineup. They won yesterday, but it was a low-scoring game. I do think San Diego has a decent chance of getting to Wesnecky today. I'm not trying to say he's going to stink it up, but in 20 plate appearances from this current roster, 350 batting average against. So not all that great, right? Compared to the 55 plate appearances that Cease has against his Cubs roster, a .087 average against. So yeah, I'm backing Dylan Cease big today. Whether or not it's a first 5 or a full game, maybe we do both like we did with Arizona yesterday. I think that there is some value in this spot. Total sitting at 8.5. It's really weird because I want the Padres to score runs, but not the Cubs. So either going to look at, if we were to run with a total in this one, I'm either going to look at, the Cubs team total under perhaps, or the Padres team total over, instead of worrying about an 8.5 here where I think one offense has a good edge and one does not. So that'll be the direction that we lean in for this one. I also don't think the Padres are going to strike out that much today, but Wesnecky's strikeout line is at 3.5. So if you really wanted to get freaky with it for plus 110 odds, maybe you consider the under there. But again, it's a low number, right? We can admit that. Like 3.5 is super, super low. This season, he has 2 starts where one he went way over and one he went way under. So it's take it or leave it, right? I don't know if we end up, feeling that confident about a strikeout line, but pretty confident in the Padres bats today. I'll say that much. And I talked about being able to get this at minus 120, guys. The best odds that I've seen as of late in baseball have been over on FanDuel. If you're not signed up on FanDuel yet, now is the time to do so. They have a great new customer offer. You bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Guess what? The secret to doing that is throwing that $5 on a massive favorite, because it doesn't matter what your return is on that $5, you're going to get the $150 in bonus bets. So don't think of it as a free bet or a risk-free or anything like that. No, this is more or less a hit that first one and get that 150 and then do with what you want with that. I'll have a link in the pinned comment for this FanDuel offer. I believe if you live in Ohio, it's actually bet 5, get 300 back. So go check it out. Again, a lot of people are on one sportsbook, DraftKings, maybe you're on MGM. You should be diversifying your portfolio in terms of sportsbooks, because odd shopping and getting the best odds out there is super, super important. And when you have a deal like this on the table, you got to take advantage of it. So go check out FanDuel, guys. Again, that link is in the pinned comment. Bet $5. If that bet hits, you get $150 in bonus bets right back into your account. I don't know how you can beat that. Go ahead and check it out. Again, that link is in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games. Speaking of big favorites to consider here, we have the Dodgers taking on the Miami Marlins. This is one in which the Dodgers just continue to crush overall, right? 6-3 game number one, 8-2 in game number two. On the mound today is going to be Gavin Stone, if I'm not mistaken. Gavin Stone going up against Ryan Weathers. So the pitching shouldn't be like there per se. I don't like Gavin Stone all that much, and I don't like Weathers, even though he's had some good spot starts. To me, it's not really a guy that I like backing. But overall, this Dodgers team clearly has better bats. So I'm probably not going to play it myself, but maybe if you are a new customer of FanDuel and you have that $5 to use, maybe this is a good spot. I say maybe because anything can happen with these pro baseball players, right? But minus 278 money line favorite could be a good spot to use that one and get that return. So I'll lean towards the Dodgers here on the money line. But to be honest, minus 278 for a single play kind of puts it out of price range. In terms of a total 8.5, I don't see any reason to go towards an under here, so I'm going to lean towards the over. You have two pitchers on the mound that should be able to let up a decent amount of runs, let guys on base, and the LA bats, we've seen them pretty much damn near hitting their over in these last couple of games by themselves. And I'll give credit, I guess, where it's due to Miami for scoring 3 runs and then 2 runs, because those runs can matter, obviously. Like in game number 1 of this series, it was an 8.5 total. LA scored 6. Miami came in clutch with the 3, right? But last game, literally, Dodgers had 8 runs. The total closed at 7.5. So something like that could definitely happen again overall. But yeah, I don't necessarily see a way to get to Miami unless you're saying, why not, avoid 3 losses in a row between these two teams? Why not take a flyer? I believe this is a 3-game series too. Why not take a flyer and saying they're not going to sweep? Get plus 220 odds. I don't get too enticed by that one though. I will blow through both of these because might I remind everybody that the Texas Rangers are on the do not bet list. We put them on there yesterday, and what did they do yesterday? They scored literally more runs than I can even count. I'm too stupid to be able to count that high, but realistically, they did go off, and Oakland also did too, which is crazy. 15-8 game. We had like a football match there, but nonetheless, Texas still on the do not bet list for a few more days here, as are the Yankees, so I can't even consider looking at Texas, but this is a doubleheader. We don't even have odds for this game. I think we may have pitchers in this one. Sears on the mound with Michael Lorenzen, and the second game is actually I don't even know which pitcher is starting which game. So luckily we don't have to spend too much time on this because we are saying that they're on the do not bet list. But if I were to give a lean or anything like that, I don't think that I can get behind Oakland. Texas clearly watched the video yesterday and was pretty damn pissed. But as you guys know, I don't love betting double hitters in the first place. So not much to give you here other than maybe considering Texas and the over in either game. All right, the Snakes were a team that we were big on yesterday. Diamondbacks get it done, both first 5 as well as the full game. We had both of those. Taking on Cincinnati today. Cincinnati, I do think, has a better pitcher today, though. Graham Ashcraft, not Ashcraft. Sorry, YouTube, on the mound for them, going up against Jordan Montgomery, who I'm not exactly sure what to make of in a I was gonna say Arizona Cardinals, in a Diamondbacks uniform yet. Like what we've seen from him, in all honesty, was a good start, really good start, right? Then followed up by a mediocre start, and then followed up by a terrible start. But that terrible start was 2 home runs, 6 earned runs through 3 innings against the Dodgers. So maybe his stats aren't too indicative of his play, but Ashcraft looks like he's getting a little bit better here, so I do lean towards the Diamondbacks, but I really don't want to make that a final play just due to the fact that I want to see what Montgomery has. But I think the way that we can kind of say Arizona keeps this game close would be to take the under, and what I mean by that is Cincinnati's bats are not all that great. If we go to the dashboard, like forget the pitching on this side, right? Focus on this. Both against right-handed pitchers for Arizona and left-handed pitchers against Cincinnati. Same thing when it goes to right-handed pitchers on the road and lefties at home. Both these teams seem to be struggling plenty in this spot, right, against that hand. So I don't necessarily hate taking a peek at the under 9 runs. Yesterday's game felt high scoring, and it was 6-2. So maybe this is a spot in which, we see another 6-2, even like a 6-3 game stays under this, but I think this is probably more of like a 5-3 game or a 4-3 type of a game, as long as the pitchers can kind of stay in it, right? So give me the under in this spot, and like I said, the slightest of leans towards Arizona because last last 2 games for them, 11 runs and 6 runs, maybe their bats are heating up. Whereas Cincinnati, in their last 5 games, 2-0, 1-1, and 2 runs scored. So one of these bats is absolutely ice cold, and one of them may be starting to heat up. So when I show those numbers, that's kind of why I take the under. But knowing what they've done in the last 5 games, maybe Arizona is still a money line contender. I almost forgot to let you guys know we do have the Gambler boxy tee on with the Gambler Classic hat. This launches on May 10th, guys, so only a couple days. I am so excited for this to launch. Let me know in the comments if you're thinking about picking it up. Make sure you're on the email list and the text message list. You have a specific exclusive code going out to you guys for the time of launch. But May 10th, midnight is when it launches. I don't expect there to be like a rush to the floor here for them midnight, but this could be one of the first Fade Me collections that we drop that actually sells out, because we have very limited quantities, and this is just some of the best materials that we've created. Like this hoodie is, we calling it the Super Comfort hoodie. Like I don't know if I've worn a hoodie, never mind a Fade Me hoodie, a hoodie that is as comfortable as what we're cooking up here. So I'm very, very excited for this collection. May 10th, guys. We have tons of stuff if you guys want to go browse the store today, but I did just want to give a little shout out to what we have coming down the line, because again, this stuff is top of the line what we've ever launched prior. It's all like neutral colors and whatnot. Make sure to go check it out on May 10th. Again, sign up for the email list, sign up for the text list. You will be getting a code that gives you a little bit of a discount at the time of launch. But yeah, shout out to the designers and even the warehouse that we worked with to produce these, because I can't say it enough. I'm like smiling thinking about it. This is such good quality. If you're thinking about picking some up, comment GMBLR. That's gambler without the vowels in the comments. GMBLR. This is the 2.0 drop that we've had. So comment that if you're thinking about picking something up in the comments. Also letting me know that you made it this far into the video. But enough rambling. I know we get the comments being like, just get to the picks, dummy. All right, we'll get to the picks, dummy. We got Washington taking on Baltimore here. Parker on the mound for Washington. On the mound for Baltimore is going to be Bradish. This is a game in which I don't think anyone really saw coming yesterday. Corbin Burns didn't even pitch like terribly, but Washington wins 3-0. And I saw a lot of people out there loving Baltimore. I liked Baltimore myself too, but I just couldn't get to the price, right? Overall, I do think this is a bounce back spot for Baltimore. Minus 176 is too much on the money line, but I wouldn't mind looking at them, first 5 run line, or even, I guess, first 5 run line is probably going to be what we would consider here, because I think it's a bounce back spot. Those bats were cold yesterday. I can't expect them to do that today. Mitchell Parker is a lefty, and he's pitching well. I want to give credit where it's due, but this is a spot in which I could see him kind of settling down a little bit. And the reason his numbers are so good is because he had that, was it second or first start of the year against Houston, in which he pitched like 7 shutout innings, not shutout innings. But Baltimore against lefties last 30 days, second in average, first in WRC plus, on base percentage second, first in OPS, ISO, and slugging. So to me, it should be a Baltimore spot today. In terms of the total, it's sitting at 9. I don't really think that Washington, their offense is all that trustworthy as of right now. I know they had the 11-run game against whoever they played prior to. I forget who it was. But they've been going, in little spurts of low scoring, and I think that could be another time today. They scored 11 runs, and they went into 3. I think they have like maybe another 2 or 3 run game today, so I lean slightly towards the under, but I definitely like Baltimore first 5 run line more than anything we've talked about here. And though another play in this game, and though it kind of hurts the run line in a sense, I don't mind the nerfy, because you can get plus 100 odds over on MGM right now and FanDuel. Most books are minus 120, Fanatics minus 115, DraftKings minus 115, ESPN bet minus 115. So to be able to get even odds, I do think that there is a little bit of value there. But again, do we want to pull trigger on that when obviously that kind of cuts into us, wanting Baltimore to get off to the races in the first 5 innings? But if you put both those in a vacuum, I think that they both make sense. It's just a matter of them not being totally correlated, which kind of stinks. Tampa Bay taking on the White Sox here. Savale on the mound. Another guy that has just cashed for us so much this year. So we have a couple guys that we like backing. Problem is that we have a Tampa Bay team that is minus 238 on the odds right now. But for their run line, it's minus 1.5. And I also would maybe consider them first 5. I think these bats are maybe starting to come around 10-3. So that's not great, but 10-3, 7-8, 5 in their last 5 games here in terms of batting. And in the last 30 days against right-handed pitchers, Chris Flexen on the mound for the White Sox, righty, right? They're averaging, or they're the 10th in average, which is pretty damn good. 10th in WRC plus, also pretty good here. 9th in on-base percentage. So I do think that they could score some runs today. So maybe we can work in Tampa Bay. Forget about the money line. Look at them on the run line or first 5 run line, something like that. Really, we haven't seen Chicago even willing to compete in this series. Total sitting at 8.5. I'm actually going to lean towards the under. I think Savale has a decent outing today. And though I'm gassing up the Tampa Bay offense, like I could see them going out there and scoring 5 runs again. So maybe it's like a 5-2 game where Tampa Bay has the game all along, but the White Sox, their bats don't really come to play overall. They're 30th in average and also 30th in WRC plus against righties on the road in the last 30 days. So I can't expect a lot of runs out of them. All right, New York taking on Houston. Right now, we have New York still on the DNB. Spencer Arrigetti's on the mound today, going up against Carlos Rodon. Rodon has had some hit-or-miss time spots this season. As we know, Spencer Spaghetti has also had some issues this year overall as well. So I do think that this is going to be another spot in which, just like yesterday, I wish we pulled the trigger, but I think we're going to lean towards the over. Now, it was the Yankees carrying the weight yesterday. I do think that they can get to Arrigetti here again, so I'm not saying that. But I think that Houston can also get to Rodon, who, you know, I think they hit him around in his first start this year, but didn't really get to him run-wise, so leaving plenty of guys on base. Maybe they go out there and actually score some runs today. So I like the over 9 in this spot. I think the bats stay hot for New York. And Houston, these bats have been hit or miss, but this should be a spot in which that they can kind of compete against lefties in the last 30 days here. 3rd batting average, 3rd in WRC plus, best K rate team. So maybe we consider Rodon's under in strikeouts, 5th in on base percentage, 3rd in OPS, and 7th in ISO, 4th in slugging. What is Rodon's strikeout line here? We didn't have this up prior to, but just going through that, it kind of piques my interest. So it's 5.5. I could see this being a nice under 5.5 strikeouts. This one start against him this year, he had 4 strikeouts. It was only through 4 in the 3rd, so that worries me a little bit because if he is going to pitch, probably 5+ innings, I could see that being difficult. But you know what? There might be a play right there. Under 5.5 strikeouts for Carlos Rodon against this Houston team as a total as well. And I don't know if I said it yet, actually. I'm confusing myself, but I don't mind taking a potential flyer on the Astros for plus 125 odds either. I think they should bounce back to some degree after yesterday's blowout. All right, we got Chris Sale taking on former team, the Red Sox. There's a reason why Atlanta is heavily favored. Yesterday, we leaned Red Sox. They ended up losing 4-2. Luckily, we didn't pull the trigger, but that was more or less a, huge plus money play. So even if you ran with that, or if we had run with it, you got to be able to understand that you're taking such a plus money flyer, right? Today, I don't necessarily love it. You have Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Red Sox here, who his numbers are going to look obviously pretty good. I don't think he's pitched since the beginning of April, but he has 2 starts on the year, looked okay. But Chris Sale, to me, is starting to hit a stride, and he's going up against a Red Sox team that isn't the best against lefties. I'm not saying they're bad. They're actually good on the road against lefties this year. But overall, I just can't really see a path to the Red Sox. Yesterday I liked the flyer, but that was because Cutter Crawford's on the mound. I don't necessarily know if Pivetta is ready to go, and this is a tough lineup to make your first start since April against. So yeah, I probably end up leaning towards somehow Atlanta on the money line, but if you're on the Red Sox today, I guess, I can't get there, but it's probably a similar thought process as to why we were on them yesterday, right? Maybe they're worth some sort of a flyer, but I'm trusting Chris Sale with that sort of revenge mindset going up against his old team. I don't think he has bad blood, but nonetheless, this is a guy that's such a mental pitcher that if he goes out there and is dealing, it's going to be tough. So with that being said, I also like the under here as well, hoping that Atlanta can't just go out there and hit a bunch of bombs overall. They haven't been like crazy good against righties this year, more or less a lefty hitting lineup. But yeah, if Pivetta can kind of keep his feet on the ground and Sale does what I think he's going to do, let's take the under 8.5. All right, though we haven't made it a final play yet, we are like the whisperer of this series. Minnesota taking on Seattle. We said Seattle yesterday. They end up winning. We said Minnesota, and I think they were underdogs, right? We said Minnesota in game one as underdogs. They ended up winning. Today, I think the favorite does ultimately pull it out, though. You have Kirby on the mound going up against Chris Paddock. I would much rather have Kirby in my corner. And both these offenses are somewhat, close. So I'm going to go Seattle on the money line. In terms of the total, I don't think that we see another 10 runs out of Seattle and 6 runs out of Minnesota. So I'm going to lean towards the under 7.5 in this spot, but I definitely like Seattle on the money line a little bit better here. In terms of where their bullpen or what their bullpen is looking like, let's pull that out so we can give you a matter of fact here versus what I thought. Yeah, so their bullpen is a little worn down. That could be a factor here. Maybe we go first 5. But nonetheless, I'm still not really afraid of it because this is a Minnesota bullpen that's also worn down. And both these bullpens are good, kind of 1 through 10, however you want to look at it. So we could probably get to we probably get to Seattle somehow, whether it's first 5 or full game. Like I said, I like the under as well, but the bullpen can impact that. So maybe it's just Seattle on the money line and let these guys score as many runs as they want. All right, Colorado taking on San Francisco. I'm telling you guys, fade the altitude. Realistically, today, having a total of 10 is only like 1 run higher than some of these. So I don't think that we're going to be on, we're still on that train. I don't think we're as confident in it, but I don't care if, you have 2 bad pitchers or anything like that. Like, this Colorado lineup stinks. I'm not a huge fan of the San Francisco lineup, so I'm going to lean under right away again. Jordan Hicks is on the mound for San Francisco going up against Peter Lambert. I think that's a pretty damn clear cut who's better or who has the edge. So I'll lean towards San Francisco, but that price tag is going to be a little bit out of our range here. I don't think you can catch me, laying minus 165 with a team like San Francisco, even though they won game number 1, 5-0. But I'm still going to lean towards the under because we fade the altitude around here. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt as well, because that is like, we used to get hate for it. Now I see people in the comments kind of liking it, being like, you're right. Altitude doesn't matter unless you put the bat on the ball, which this is not a Colorado team that does that all that well. So it doesn't matter who's really coming in. It's like a one-team showing, if that makes sense. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you did, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well. Turn on the notifications because we're dropping a bunch of videos here on the channel. I think myself yesterday, I went 4 videos and then 1 YouTube short. So 5 total videos, 4 of them being full length on the channel. We put out our Wells Fargo Golf Championship video today, so make sure to go check that out. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.